Muhammad Ali died some 2 months ago, but as ever, does his legacy live on? The former heavyweight champ, among so many other things, once said, and I do quote, "Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth," end quote. So said one of the great poets of our time. And in honor then of his memory, Ali's widow, Lonnie, has founded a community service initiative called Ali 75. The hope, well, to recognize that there is an Ali in all of us. It is a hope indeed. I sure hope there's some Muhammad running around inside of me.
Of course there is.
Lonnie Ali.
Of course there is, Josh.
Good enough
Thank
to
you for
join us.
having me.
No, thank you for being here. First and foremost, our condolences for your loss and your family's loss. And I do wonder, how are you and your family doing?
You know what? We take each day as it comes. There are hard days. There are some that are a little easier. And then there's moments that you just can't get through. But, you know, I am amazed and overwhelmed at the strength of the children, of what they, I mean, don't get me wrong, they are terribly saddened and they're grieving and they're hurt for the loss, but they're carrying on. And there were a couple that I thought would just really collapse under this, but they've been amazingly strong, and their father would be so proud of them.
Is there a sense that, boy, if, you know, Muhammad Ali did so many things, but he carried on. I think it's a narrative spine, I think, of his life. Is there a sense for you and perhaps for the children that, as so many of us, when we experience a loss such as that, you know, they'd want us to keep going?
Oh, absolutely. Muhammad would not want us sitting around grieving too long for his passing, because he's in heaven, and it's a place he always wanted to be. So we do have to carry on his legacy and the example that he set and he left for all of humanity, not just for us.
It was so many things when he passed, but it was something that felt in the best of ways a celebration of his life, reserved for maybe a head of state, and maybe the best state of all, what we all, humanity, could be. What did you think of those days in Louisville when the eyes of the world focused and when so many poured out and gave us scenes that we're going to play for decades?
You know what, I have to tell you, Josh, we had planned Muhammad's funeral probably 5, 6, 7 years.
Wow.
Because we knew one day it was going to happen, and we knew we had to be prepared for it. And it wasn't going to be something we would want to deal with at the moment he passed. So we had dealt many meetings and had many meetings, and Muhammad had his input. And it was interesting because, you know, I had to ask Muhammad certain questions, and I know he must have been uncomfortable with, but there was one I said, Muhammad, we were trying to figure out where to have this funeral. And I said, where do you want to have it? And we were watching a sports program, I think it was a football game. And he looked, he goes, I want it in an arena like that. I go, Muhammad, or, you know, or a stadium. I go, Muhammad, nobody does that. I said, nobody has a funeral in a stadium. You know, and I was getting these mental pictures of what it was going to look like while he was saying this. He goes, no, I want it there. And he was very emphatic. I said, fine, Muhammad, we'll have it there. And that's what we did. And when it happened, I was amazed. I knew there would be people. I just didn't realize how many people. I didn't realize people would be coming from all over the world like they did and poured in, and every day people would be coming in, just people who had met Muhammad, that he had inspired, that he had touched in some way. And I think it was perfect. The memorial was perfect because it shared Muhammad with the world, which is what he wanted. But if he had, and I told one of the gentlemen who was executing on this, Bob Gunnell, that I know Muhammad's up there pulling the strings. I know he is. When I saw all the people coming into Louisville, you know, and if there was one complaint Muhammad would have had, he would have said, you didn't get it big enough, the stadium, because there were people we couldn't let in.
Yeah.
There were people standing outside.
Were you surprised by the number of people?
Absolutely.
I've seen that you thought you were surprised.
I was surprised because Muhammad and I are very normal. You know, we live normal lives, and I don't think of myself, and you know, even though I know he belongs to the world, I still think of him as normal because I've known him since I was 6, you know. And I was shocked. I was shocked I was humbled, I was overwhelmed, and I was joyful because of all the people who came to say goodbye to him. But yeah, I was shocked.
And I, not to co-opt any of your
Yeah.
loss, but I do believe that as something of humanity's pulse,
Right.
that he lived a life that took him to so many places and frankly so many extremes, and yet could only have been who he would be if he remained authentic to the last. And
Absolutely.
I know that. How would you describe his awareness of that impact that he had? I know he liked to make people smile.
Oh,
I know that was
absolutely.
important to him, but to make a world smile, that's quite something.
Muhammad never met a person who he didn't consider a fan. And that's just the way, and I don't care who they were, where they were from, what they did. To him, everybody was a fan, and he loved everybody, and everybody loved him. And that's the way he approached people. He was very approachable. And he met people with open arms and an open heart and an open mind. And I think that's why people loved him so much. And that's everywhere he went.
Yeah.
I mean, I have witnessed with my own eyes, and I think people who didn't travel with Muhammad got to see some of it there at the memorial, the kind of people that, or the number of people who sort of gathered. I've seen people run after Muhammad, grown men, crowds of grown men just running after him, hugging him, kissing him. I mean, it was amazing. It was just amazing what he represented to so many people.
At the risk of invasion, I do wonder, was he at peace at the
Yes,
end?
very much so. Very much so. His death was unexpected, very unexpected.
Yeah.
But Muhammad was a peaceful man, always. And I think he prepared his life to die and go to heaven. So, yeah, he was at peace.
I was struck. However, as you put it, for years you knew it was going to come, and then to see reports of it and to realize, to feel that loss was quite something. And it was so, again, he was so many different things that we'd lost. And I know one of the reasons you're here is because the spirit of volunteerism was something that got him out of bed in the morning and got him to bed at night.
It was really the idea of service to others.
Yeah.
You know, Muhammad lived his entire life like that. And, you know, whether it was signing an autograph, helping somebody out financially, giving them a hug, or going to visit, you know, spontaneously now, people in the old and infirm, in senior citizen homes, children's hospitals, burn units. He went in places there's no way, I would have been in tears. He went in with his magic tricks, and anybody who knows Muhammad knew he always had a pocket with some magic tricks in it, and he would perform these magic tricks for people and for the kids, make them laugh, and I'd be out in the hall crying, because I could, you know, because it was, you know, what I was witnessing was so moving and emotional with the children who were ill. But he was just a fantastic person, but he lived his life in service to others. And you saw that theme come through at the memorial service. It's an epitaph that will be on the family monument at the gravesite, because that's the way he was. And it's a simple concept, but it's something that has been on the decline for the last 5 years. But it was a pathway for Muhammad to get to know people,
Yeah.
and for people to get to know him. And I think that is a possibility today, because service to others, you get to learn how to help people, you get to understand what they go through, you walk a mile in their shoes, and there's nuances and understandings that you gather that you wouldn't get it anywhere else. And service can be as simple, and what's so wonderful about this initiative, it could be done by anyone, at any age, anywhere. I saw something today on the news of a little boy, I think he was about 6.
Yeah, Zion Harvey.
Right.
Double hand transplant.
No, not that,
Oh.
not that young man, but this was another young man down in Louisiana with the flood.
Oh, yeah.
And he had a birthday, and he was like 6 or maybe 5. He said for his birthday, he wanted to go help the flood victims. And he took pizzas, he bought pizzas, and it was like 300 some pizzas he delivered, hand delivered to people, because they didn't have anywhere to go, any food. A simple gesture like that, I mean, a child that young who understood the service and the joy he got from it. And I think people, you know, appreciate that, and they love it. And I think there are relationships that can be found and formed as a result of that. And some of the issues that we're experiencing today in our communities with police and inner city youth, and You know, I think there's an opportunity there for that.
Quickly, I do want to ask you, this is quite a time that we find ourselves living in. It is marked by rancor. It is marked by division. It is an uncertain and tenuous time. I wonder, what did Muhammad make of the world that he left?
Well, I think, you know, and we were connoisseurs of news. Some of it I tried to keep away from him because I knew it would depress him. But, you know, Muhammad was an eternal optimist, and he believed in the spirit of humanity and the humanity in all of us. And somehow I felt he felt that humanity would triumph. And I think he passed away like that, thinking that.
I know that would give so many people a measure of peace for themselves. I said it before, one of the great poets who have ever lived. And so to say that he walked his talk is quite something, and what a wonderful thing you are doing here with Ali 75. Again, Lonnie Ali, cannot thank you.
Josh, let me just say one thing before we conclude here. We all have an opportunity coming up on 9/11, which is a day of service, to honor the victims of 9/11. It would be a wonderful idea if we all engaged in that, in service, not only to them, but to honor Muhammad and to sign up with Ali 75.
Here. And a website. I want to be able to give the information right now.
Well, what you do is you text Ali to 75475, which is his 75th birthday, 75 hours of service for his 75th birthday. And you will be sent a link, and you click on and just follow it from there.
We'll be thinking on January 17th.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
It's a great thing.